And join me in welcoming our first guest this evening, Michael Ford, Baylor's track and field coach. Welcome to you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
You were reminding me this is kind of your week. Like we either asked you or you were here Thanksgiving week last year.
Yeah, this is like my anniversary, so I'm always glad to be here in Waco, either watching the Bears play football or spending time with my family.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We're glad you're here. Thanks for your time this evening. And folks say, well, what are you going to talk about with track and field? Well, there's always something to talk about, right? No matter what time of year it is.
Yeah, always something to talk about. Yeah. All season, summer coming up,
right?
Sprint. Whatever it is.
Sprint, Netflix, right. We'll talk about that. But you would consider this, this is sort of as much of an off-season as you get. It's kind of right now, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say for track at least. Right now we just finished cross-country, and the rest of the team is getting ready for indoor. Basically, we have this week off, and then we start back next week, and we have 2 weeks before finals, and then we let them go home for 2 weeks, and then they come back, and then we open up on January 10th.
Okay.
Down at A&M.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. So, even at that, it's not a long stretch of a break, like a week here and a couple of weeks there around Christmas.
Yeah, I think we're probably the only sport that actually takes weeks off, and then we jump right into our season.
Right.
And so it's always critical that our student athletes, hopefully they work out over the break, like those 2 weeks they're away from us. We just trust them and trust in God that they're going to do it. And then our season just goes from January to June, and then even into August if we have international meets. Yeah.
That's true. How much they have to be mature about it. They have to know that when they're gone from here, a little bit of a break from here, they've got to do the regimen that you have for them.
Yeah, I think that's a big critical. I think we, as coaches, we sit down with our groups and we explain to them how critical it is to do the workouts. And as coaches, we also know they're probably not going to do everything that we have written down. So we try to make sure they modify whatever, because we have some kids that live up north, and the weather is different. So we just try to make sure. I always tell my group, if you can get 3 days out of the 5, I'll be happy, and then we'll get back to it. I think the big thing is, as long as I get them ready by February, the third week in February for Big 12s, then we'll be good to go.
I got you.
Yeah.
Do you send when they do go home? Do you send them home with a practice schedule?
Yeah. So even this week, we sent a week workouts. We had some that chose to stay here for a little bit because Baylor, I think the last 2 years at Baylor, we were out of school on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then the last couple of years, we started getting out the week before. And so now they have the whole week, and we can't keep them in. So, but a lot of them have been checking in, just telling us how they're doing, if they're doing something or they modified it. So that's what we try to do over the Christmas break too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. You were telling me you got some here, some of the pros really, like Trayvon Bromell and Will London are here working out.
Yeah, they're going to get ready. They have an indoor season. They have a World Championship indoor this year, so both want to run. Trayvon hasn't run indoor since he won the World Championships indoor in 2016. Okay. So he decided that that's what he wanted to do, so we're going to do that. And Will London ran last year, made it to USA's, made it to the finals in the 4. And then Matthew Moore, they're both trying to compete for 2 spots on the 4x, the 400. And so I think they have a good shot. Indoor is not as big because you have another World Championship this year too, outdoor.
Okay.
So a lot of people probably won't do indoor, but they'll get ready for outdoor.
I got you.
After a long season.
Help me remember, is that schedule like Olympics 1 year and then Worlds 2 years later, or the next year?
Yeah, so they've added Worlds. So Worlds actually be, so we'll have World Championship this year, then I believe another World Championship, then an off year, and then the next Olympics in 28, and then we'll have another World Championship. So we go pretty much every year. There's some major championship for us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Makes sense. Fill the calendar, with big events.
Yeah, they fill it. But it just makes the season so much longer. I mean, I think this year I finished up in right the week before school started.
Yeah.
Going to the Olympics. So
you had no
that
all
was
season.
Yeah, no all season.
We want to talk to you about the Olympics and your experience there. There's one more person that's here that she's going to work out to try to be a part of the Olympic bobsled team.
Yeah, Carrie Jones is a Baylor grad. She was a 100, 200 runner for us.
Yeah.
She actually made 3 U.S. Bobsled teams in the past, and then she wanted to have kids, and so she has 2 little boys now.
Yeah.
And then USA Bobsled asked her to come back.
Wow.
And so now she's trying to get back in shape. Yeah, so she just had a baby. I think her baby's maybe like 4 months old,
Okay.
and so she just started back. Yeah.
Wow, man. And those Winter Olympics would be when, 26?
I think 26.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm more of a summer
I
Olympic.
know.
So-
Yeah, so Summer Olympics were 24. Next will be 28. I think winter is 26 and 30. So
Yeah, I think
how
so,
about
too.
that? That's
Yeah,
great. Does she have a
that'll
good
be
chance
awesome.
to make the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think her last tryout, she was like they do a selection, so she was like 1 selection short the last time she did it. So
Okay.
she has a good shot.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's great. With Michael Ford, Baylor track and field coach, this is our final show for the fall semester. We'll be back in the spring and get you that schedule coming up very shortly. We'll have you back multiple times in the spring.
Probably so.
You're taking the bullet here on the night before Thanksgiving. But with Coach Michael Ford, who was an assistant coach for USA Track and Field at the Paris Olympics. Again, congratulations, man, just
thank you
being
so
selected
much.
for that. That's a
Thank
huge deal.
Thank you so much. It
Huge
was
deal.
definitely a blessing,
Yeah.
huge honor. I think the next one is I'll be a head coach at the Olympics one, maybe the next, maybe 28 or
Maybe
maybe
28.
32.
28, which is in L.A., right?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
how great would that be?
That would be awesome.
Yeah. You don't know that yet?
No, I actually have to put my name in a hat if
Okay.
I decide to do it. I don't know if I want the responsibility yet, but maybe 4 years from now I will.
How was the experience compared to what you thought it might be?
I think just like we have director of ops for our program, our team managers, they do pretty much everything. So it's actually they do the meetings, they set up everything. So for me, it's just being on the track, assisting the personal coaches and the coach and the athletes who didn't have coaches there. So for me, it was just I was at the track all day, and I enjoyed it just because I got to see some of the fastest people in the world compete and train. Gave me a lot of motivation coming back to Waco with my group. But it was just awesome to be there in Paris. And just having one big goal was to win as many medals as we possibly could. And we ended up winning, I think, 34 medals, and that was our highest ever at a non-boycott year.
Yeah.
And so I'll never forget that experience.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. What's the dynamic like with you as a Team USA coach, but all these, sprinters especially, but probably all of them at that level have personal coaches also?
Yeah. And so a lot of times what we try to do is I'm kind of like the middleman between the personal coaches and their athletes. And so I actually still have my group chat with all the athletes and the personal coaches. So I would literally send out a schedule, say, hey, we're going to be at the track at this time. What time do you want to be out there? If you can't come, let me know. We had a couple of athletes that their coaches actually, when they were in Paris, they got sick. And so they would actually send me the workouts that they had them do.
Oh, wow.
And then I would just kind of coach them through those workouts. And it was just making sure they knew what time to check in points, because that was, I think at the Olympics, that's probably the most critical part, is making sure they check in on time and making sure they get to the track. That was probably the biggest thing.
Be on time. Don't miss your race.
Because I'm thinking like they're professionals, and at Baylor we do our schedule for our athletes, and I'm like, well, these are professionals, they'll understand that too, and they're probably just as worse as our student athletes.
Really?
So but it was great to be around like Noah Lyles, Fred Curley, those guys I was around quite a bit. Yeah.
Noah, he got sick over there, didn't he?
Yeah, actually had COVID.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he actually, after he won the 100.
Okay.
And he was drinking a protein shake, and he said, man, it doesn't taste right.
Oh, man.
So I think he was losing his taste buds then. And then the next day we get a text and say, someone on the U.S. team has COVID. They didn't tell us who it was. And then I go back to the hotel because I didn't stay in the village. I stayed in the hotel. And I see Noah Lyles at the hotel. And I said, well, must be Noah Lyles.
Yeah.
And then the next day they sent the text out and said it was Noah Lyles. And I actually was his chaperone the rest of the time.
Huh.
Yeah, so I'm wearing a mask the whole time for those next 4 days. And it was just interesting. I got a chance to talk to Noah a lot more about his journey. A lot of people always say that he's really cocky the way he performs, but he said it's more so for him. So every time he says he wants to do this or this, people take it as being cocky, but for him it's like self-motivating himself. And so we got a lot of time to spend together. He's very humble, and just his training regimen was fantastic just to watch him compete. And I wish he would have done it a lot better in the two.
Right.
But he still got a medal. I'm like, you have COVID and you still get third.
Amazing, yeah.
And then he probably would have been on a relay if he wasn't sick.
Yeah. Man, that's amazing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry that he had COVID, and I'm sorry that you had that took up a lot of your time probably with him.
It was interesting because even he was at the village, and so I would actually meet him at the village, and then they would tell me, you can take an Uber to the track with him, or if you get on the shuttle, sit in the back of the shuttle. And then if it's too many people got on the shuttle, then get off the shuttle and probably take an Uber. And so, but you have to wear a mask. And then when he got to the track, he couldn't go into the team tent.
Yeah.
He had his trainer, his coach, everybody was outside the tent.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for him. But I mean, he basically kind of sucked it up and went for it after that. Yeah.
And he did get bronze in the 200.
Yeah,
right?
he got bronze in 2, won the gold in the 100.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Was there, you always, and we talked about this before you left, but that sense of USA pride, red, white, and blue, USA on your chest.
Yeah.
Were you so busy, focused on what you were doing, or did you get a sense of that, you're representing the United States?
Oh, yeah, no, we were, I mean, every morning we sat down as a staff and was like, hey, how many medals can we win today? Like, we don't want Germany or even the French winning medals. And even in our team camp, I have some videos of us like going crazy because the track to the practice track to the main track, you literally had to probably go almost half a mile to get there. So we would literally stay in the tent and watch the track meet on TV. So I'm literally watching NBC. Yeah. In the tent, watching it. So I'm hearing the U.S. broadcast of the meet. But just to see that pride, and every time they won a medal, coming back, and we were able to see him, talk to him, get pictures with him afterwards, and it was a great feeling.
That's terrific. 34 medals, you
34
said?
medals.
Most ever.
And
you were right there. You're a big reason why. That's very cool. Well, congratulations again. That's really fun. Michael Ford, our leadoff guest tonight. Dave Aranda will be here coming up in a few minutes. Baylor football, the season finale, regular season finale this Saturday against Kansas, a big game at McLean Stadium. We have, as I mentioned, questions from the audience. Some really good questions for you.
Yeah,
okay?
Hopefully I'm ready to answer.
I'm sure you are. This one we sort of talked about, but maybe there's something different. Roy, who works every one of your meets, you know that. Thank you, Roy, for that. Roy Evans says,
great supporter of track and field.
Tremendous, yes. He says, what is your best Paris story? Anything come to mind that we haven't talked about?
Well, the Noah Lyles was probably the big one, but every day I would walk from the hotel to the village just to take the shuttle to the track, and the French kids were out, and we would have these pins that we would have on our lanyards, and they would always ask for them. And I'm like, I gave you one yesterday. and every day the same kids would come up to me and ask for pins.
Right.
That was one story, and then I think just the chaos that we had getting into the village, not the village, but getting into the track. I know Sha'Carri Richardson had some issues and getting in, and they would let you in, but they wouldn't let you out. And I would, the first 2 days, I could walk from the track to my hotel, and then all of a sudden they said I couldn't do it anymore.
Weird.
And they told me I had to get on the bus.
Wow.
Go to the village, and then I would have to walk from the village back to the hotel, and I would pass my hotel on the shuttle.
Right.
And so, they just had a lot of crazy experience with their travel. But
was that security related?
I think so. I think they just kept changing it every day. They changed it or the other thing was you get off the bus, they would put tape on the doors of the bus. So I guess if you broke the seal, they would know something happened.
Yeah.
But when we got to the track, they would scan your lanyard. So you would walk through one gate, scan it, and then you'll walk to another gate, probably 100 meters. They would scan it again. I'm like, they just scanned it there.
Yeah.
And then they would scan it again before you got on the practice track.
Right.
And so that was every day.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then sometimes it didn't work. So I would get through one gate, and then the next gate it wouldn't work. And then they would tell me to go back to the first gate. And then
Good.
Yeah.
That's wild. All right, very good. Thanks for sharing all those stories with us. David Rothrock, where's David? David is, all right, right there. David asks a couple of questions.
Okay.
For track first, what is the training regimen for track athletes? Cardio, strength, academic, hours per week, hours per day?
Good question. With those questions, you could be a coach.
Maybe he is.
But for us, it's different. I'm only going to speak for the sprints because that's what my main thing. For the training purposes, we go acceleration work, so like a speed day, usually a speed day on Monday. Tuesday is more of a tempo. So we'll do like repeat 200s on Tuesday, that kind of form with short rest. Wednesday is a recovery day. I think mentally, physically, they need a break. So that's usually massage or just basically hanging out at their apartment or doing some schoolwork. And then Wednesday is like a longer speed day, and then Friday, I call it a Friday finisher, and then our Friday is like a longer day. So on the sprint side, we might go anywhere from, on the long end, maybe like 500 meters to the short end, like 300 meters. And that's pretty much the whole year we're doing that form. And then school-wise, we have luckily our academic services are really great, and so we actually have a block-off time. So normally our kids go to class from probably 8 o'clock to about 12, and then we'll have some that have labs in the evening, but we'll break it down that way. So normally our practice times are usually from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and then we might have a group that comes at 2 to 4, and then our weight room is usually 3:30. One group will go at 3:30, the other group goes at 4:30, and it's like that all year. But then when the season starts, we'll usually lift weights just Monday and Wednesday. Right now we're lifting Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So they're doing 4 days this like in the fall, but when we're starting our season, we'll just go Monday and Wednesday because we'll usually travel a lot on usually Thursdays. Yeah.
Fascinating. That's great. There you go. Which weight room do y'all use now?
We still use Hires.
Hires? Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Which is sort of, you got a little more access now,
more
right?
room now. Yeah, we also use Williams
yes.
from time to time.
Over at soccer.
Over
tennis,
at soccer, yeah. But our main one is at Hires now with Coach Roof.
Because football moved out to the new Fudge football facility, so you got easier access.
Yes, a lot easier access.
Yeah. All right, very good. All right, here's Bob Barrett's first question. Bob, one we talked about with elite sprinters and their own coach and how you worked in with that. He also asked about the filming of Sprint, the documentary, I guess you'd call it, on Netflix.
Yes, season 2.
We're in season 2.
Yes, we're in season 2.
How did that go? How is that going?
Well, I haven't seen season 2 at all yet.
That was season 1.
Season 1 was very interesting. They picked maybe like 6 athletes. Noah Lyles he was the main one. Sha'Carri Richardson, a couple of the Jamaican athletes, and they kind of just followed them throughout the whole year, getting ready for the championship. So that year was a world championship year, and now season 2 is them getting prepared for the Olympics, and then how the preparation went, and then how they did at the Olympics.
Yeah.
And so I haven't seen it.
That's fascinating.
But I do know that the camera crew followed us around quite a bit at the meet. So they would come to. I don't think they didn't have access to our the USA had a training facility. They didn't have access to that, but they did have access to the practice track, and so they were there quite a bit.
Right. I want to watch that. That's really cool. All right, very good. That's Sprint. It's on Netflix if you want to track that down. Bob also asked, do you have any Dennis Mitchell stories?
No, I don't. Dennis Mitchell is probably one of the things I love about Dennis Mitchell is most really good athletes they're not good coaches. But he's probably the exception to the rule. He gets into his athletes' head quite a bit, but he knows what buttons to push to make them successful. But he's one of the few coaches that was a great athlete that has turned into a really good professional coach, and so I have a lot of respect for him. I actually was on a Zoom call with him on Friday, just talking about training, and so. But no, he's one of the best ones out there.
Very good. All right, final question. Who is someone who will be successful for Baylor this coming spring? Who might surprise us?
Well, I think every kid on our team will be successful in some form of fashion. But I think our freshman group, we have some really good freshmen. I would say JL, he's from South Africa. He's a thrower. Coach Shaq has done a great job with him. Yeah. He was second at under 20 Worlds this past August. I think he's going to have a really good season. I also think that our pole vault duel, they're going to do really well. Molly and Alencia. Mm-hmm. Molly won under 20 World Championship, so I think this is her breakout year, at least on the NCAA side. Mm-hmm. But our freshman group is they've been really training hard, and so I'm looking forward to seeing them. And of course, you got Nate and Zaza, who made the Olympic team this past year and represented Nigeria really well, and so I think they're going to do awesome too. I think everybody's going to do well. I think just the big critical part is just making sure that they train over the break and. God willing, we don't have any major injuries, but the team is looking really good right now.
Yeah. Alexis Brown, she's back.
Alexis Brown is back. Yep. She's looking better than last year, and so it's kind of scary. Yeah. She had a really good season, 22.5 and long jump, got fifth at the U.S. trials. She's running faster this year, so she could probably be one of those first ones that jump 23 feet, no pressure on Coach Smith, but 23 feet and probably run 11 flat, and that's no pressure on me. Yeah. But no, she's looking really good.
Man, very cool. Well, thanks for being here. Happy Thanksgiving to you. We appreciate your time. We'll definitely have you back in the spring. Thanks very much.
I appreciate you.
Michael Ford, Baylor's track and field coach, U.S. Olympic sprint coach at the Paris Olympics.